Think we've waited long enough. Looks like we have enough folks in the room to get going. This is going to be pretty exciting. We're here talking about unlocking software productivity and cutting build times in financial services industry with Incredibuild. This is going to be a heck of a day. Bear with me here. I am Duncan Huffman. I'm head of product marketing. If you haven't seen some of my videos before or webinars, I've been here for just over a year and couldn't be more excited to bring in one of our special guests from McKinsey.
Thank you for inviting me today. It's my pleasure. My name is Shahar Markovich. I'm a partner in McKinsey. I work with software company and financial services across a wide range of topics around technology and software development. And I'm here today to share a bit of snippet from our research around how software excellence fuels business performance.
That's awesome. And then we also have another special guest, Smadar.
Hey, Duncan. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Smadar Ludmiris-Gastero. I'm excited to be here speaking with yourself and with Shahar. I'm responsible for the business growth at Incredibuild, looking at different industries and sectors where we're extremely passionate and invested in.
Today's agenda is going to be pretty simple. We're going to go through four things. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Incredibuild platform. Shahar is going to talk about software development and optimizing it in financial services. That's a great part of the session. Definitely don't click out if I bore you. And then Smadar will come in and make it real with some actual use cases in the financial services industry that Incredibuild has helped. Then it's your turn. We get to listen to some questions from you. So go ahead and type in questions now. We'll be monitoring those as we go through. I'm going to get the flywheel going here. What is Incredibuild? For those of you who are joining us for the first time, here's a little bit about what we do. We speed up software builds. Fundamentally, we do it in three ways. First, we use your machines, spare laptops, workstations, build servers, even cloud instances, and we turn those into your build farm for you. So it's your stuff, optimized and efficiently working, and I'll go through exactly how that works. Next, we give you unparalleled control and visibility into what's happening on your builds. If you've ever had to slog through logs and troubleshoot that way, you know it's hard to see what's happening in a build, especially in a complex organization. We give you the tools to do that. And then lastly, we give you the control, the APIs, and automation that help you manage those build resources and share those results with your teams. I'll go through all of these, so there's no quiz yet. But first, I want to talk about what this means. For us, at the end of the day, it's about time. Recovering time that slows down developer velocity. That has a ripple effect, and I'll show that too throughout the rest of the organization. And getting that time back can have massive effects on time to market, on employee health, on any number of dimensions. But to think about this in a way that is human, what would you personally do with 10 hours back in your week? I know for me, I'd spend more time with my kid. As a team, we'd probably have more time to get creative, solve some longer term, more strategic problems. For our dev teams here at Incredibuild, they could iterate more and QA faster and get more out the door. And then for finance orgs, they may have more time for model development, for more time for risk analysis, and to get the traders what they need faster. And that's just 10 hours. Where am I getting that 10 hours? I didn't just pull that out of my head. This is a simple, very conservative example. That's one developer building 1 hour per build twice a day. That's 10 hours a week. There's your 10 hours right there. So that's an entire week's worth of work hours back every month, 40 hours a month dedicated to build time. And that's just a tiny example. More realistic, very small organization. This is 10 developers. They're also building 1 hour per day, about three times per day. That adds up to 150 hours per week. So that's 3.5 work weeks recovered every week. 14 work weeks a month. That's like getting over a quarter's worth of work hours back. And this is just a small team building relatively infrequently. Long builds, if you've experienced them, and a lot of you have, that are, especially those that are error prone, mean breaking the builds can be scary, which means building can be scary. And this leads to building less. And that's what one of the problems we solve. All that kind of reluctance and delays add up to more than just the obvious. We hear from customers that long build times have a profound effect on incentives and reluctance to iterate. If your build takes 2 or 3 hours, you're less likely to make any changes. And in turn, that slows down the other teammates who are ready to wait for you. And everybody has to wait for a nightly build, which may or may not work. That in turn means you ship slower. So it's not just about fast compiles, though. Like I said earlier, you're not likely to have great tools that help you see what's happening. Even if your builds were totally optimized, you still are not able to troubleshoot or see what broke the build and when. Slogging through those logs I talked about to find out what thread or resource was broken can take hours and take critical staff down right at the wrong time. So they tell us that typically when builds are slow, customers tell us that they throw more hardware at the problem. This is the most common solution they have, is to over-resource on hardware, to buy new thread rippers, to buy new servers, to build up that server room. And again, that doesn't actually solve the problem. So we'll get into how what we do, first of all, solves acceleration, and then some of the rest of that. How does it actually work? When I say distribution and caching, these are the two things that we do, and you don't have to choose. We actually distribute and cache. When I say distribution, I'm talking about distributed computing. So our system builds a grid of your spare processing power on your side. So we take the cores of your laptops, workstations, servers, whatever you want to dedicate to it, and have use those resources when they are idle. So our system then breaks the builds down into parts and distributes those across that grid, turning whatever you have into a massive build farm on the fly. That's distribution in a nutshell. The other half of that is caching. It takes it even further. So a shared cache for your teams mean you're only building what changed. These incremental builds then get distributed too, just like the last slide, meaning less bandwidth, less assets that have to be rebuilt, and significantly less build time overall. So you don't have to choose one or the other. You distribute cache what you can, and you distribute what you can't, and everything works significantly faster than before. We couple that with some great dashboarding to make it easier to see, share, and understand your builds. You know the pain of scanning through those logs like I talked about. Our build monitors and dashboards let you see your builds in real time and historically. So troubleshooting becomes simple, intuitive for anybody on your team. We also have APIs to make it easy to integrate with the tools you already use and automate any alerting into your systems. So I made a lot of promises there. One of the things that makes this true and different than anything else on the market is that you don't have to change your code, tools, or processes. We're not asking you to put lines in your code. There's no snippets. You're not sending anything to our network. What you're doing is using your resources, installing some lightweight software to help that distribution and caching model. And for most teams, this takes less than a sprint. They don't have to change their code. They can work in whatever methodology they use. They can start saving build time right away. You don't have to take the team down. We integrate, like I said, with what you use today for distribution and caching, and that happens on the fly. You stay compliant and in policy because there's absolutely no new systems that you're connecting to. You could use your own cloud instances, for example, but we're not a service that's running on the back end, so you don't have to worry about compliance violations or anything like that. So enough about the platform. I could talk about and have talked about this stuff all day. What I really want to do is bring in Shahar from McKinsey to talk about some exciting research that really does talk about how optimizing your build times makes a bigger impact across your organization.
So thanks again for inviting me. In a few minutes, I'll share some highlights from our research. We all know that in these days, software development is super critical to every area of financial services, whether it's the front office dealing with customers, whether it's risk in the middle office, or it's back office and operations. We also know that this is not only about the infrastructure that's required to operate the financial services. We know that software actually helps financial services create a competitive advantage, whether it's through better analysis of the market data, better pricing or portfolio adjustment, risk modeling, or compliance. If you go to the next slide, we also know that software excellence and optimizing software development has direct impact on the business. If it's through practices of software quality that reduce bugs and reduce the time to find bugs, if it's better time to market that delivers better product faster to customers, it's around developer experience, ensuring you have a high attrition and low churn, or even directly impacting costs like cloud cost or hardware costs. However, at McKinsey, we wanted to go beyond those direct costs, and we wanted to explore the links between how software excellence actually fuels business performance. And what we've done, if you could move to the next slide, we actually done an extensive research across 440 large organizations across 12 industries. And we looked at 46 different drivers of software productivity, anywhere from technology to tools, to architecture, to environment and the actual organization. And we've built something that we call Developer Velocity Index. When we say developer velocity, we don't mean specifically the velocity as it relates to agile methodologies. We mean the speed in which the organization delivers business impact based on software. And what we actually discovered is that there is a strong link between, or strong correlation between developer velocity and business results. We've looked, for example, on revenue growth of the companies we researched. And we saw that companies that are top quartile in terms of the developer velocity based on this index tend to have 4 to 5 times faster revenue growth compared to those on the bottom quartile. We saw that these companies tend to have also higher shareholder returns, higher operating margin. But moreover, we also saw that these players tend to be more innovative, employing and implementing more cutting-edge technologies, and score higher on customer satisfaction, brand perception, and talent management. If you go to the next slide, what we saw is that there are 4 elements that drive developer productivity and developer velocity. The first one is around empowering developers with world-class tools. According to our research, best-in-class tools are actually the primary driver of developer velocity. Organizations with strong tools across the entire developer lifecycle, so planning, development, testing, collaboration, continuous integration, delivery, are 65% more innovative than those that don't have these kind of tools. The ability to access a specific relevant tool in each stage of the software lifecycle also contributes significantly to developer satisfaction. And we saw that companies that have strong tools actually have retention rates that are 47% higher compared with bottom quartile players. So this is a very, very important action for companies to take. The second element is around creating a culture that fosters psychological safety. We see that organizations that enable software teams to experiment, fail, and learn in a safe environment have consistently better results and better development velocity and better business results. Creating this type of culture is actually quite complex. You need to have the right tools, the right environment to kind of sandbox development, allow to test various failures and roll back. It has elements of culture. It has elements of ways of working. It has elements on how you manage the people. And we see that while many executives recognize the importance of this type of culture that allows developers to run fast, experiment, and fail, only 20% of the executives believe that their organization has actually succeeded in creating this culture. The third element is what we call creating a comprehensive product management function. And when we say product management function, we mean more than just simply ensuring on-time and on-budget releases. We think about it much more holistically. We think about a function that connects business and technology and integrates them tightly, and make sure that the right products are built in the right way to deliver business outcome and compelling customer experience. We see that companies that have comprehensive product management function tend to perform 150% better in their developer velocity. The last point is around the developer experience itself and how it links to talent management. We know that a lot of people in the tech world are obsessed sometimes with the idea of a rock star developer, the 10x engineer. But our research actually indicated it's important to think about your entire engineering talent pool and think about how you make sure that their experience is top-notch. We've seen many things that companies do to ensure that their entire software talent is happy and motivated. Again, it could be investing in tools, investing in environments, making sure that they get what they want and they have flexibility to work. We saw that also the role that the team actually plays and the team health plays in boosting productivity and retention is quite high. But thinking about improving developer experience had very strong correlation with improving developer velocity and as a result, business outcome.
Fantastic. Yeah, Shahar, thank you for sharing that. And I'll put a shameless plug in here. Earlier in the year, Incredibuild published a white paper just about how we dovetail with your developer velocity efforts, completely in line with what we expected. So thank you for joining. Appreciate that. So Madar, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you talk a little bit more about the use cases that we do? You deal with customers every day. You talk to more customers probably than any of the rest of us. Can you tell us, in the financial services in particular, can you tell us what you're hearing and what we solve for them?
Absolutely. And first of all, I just want to tell you, you stole my plug line. But Shahar, thank you so much for sharing the research on how software excellence really fuels the business performance. I think it really highlights the importance of developer velocity, and more than that, the role that tools play in it. Hopefully, with what you've heard from Duncan at the beginning and what you've heard from Shahar right now, it's obvious that Incredibuild is not just a tool; it becomes a critical infrastructure component for your financial services, where time is of essence, right? Where you have to go to market quickly, where you have to develop things quicker, where you don't want your developers sitting idle, and ultimately when you want your traders happy and when you want your bank making money. So very quickly, when we look at this slide, it's when every nanosecond counts. That's when you'll be leveraging a tool like Incredibuild. How our customers are using it. So here's just a small show of some of the customers that we have that are using Incredibuild. But predominantly, they're using it for the quant and algo trading sides. They're using it for risk modeling and management. They're going to be using it for valuation software and portfolio and wealth management. These are just a few examples of where the teams are using it. But what you need to think is where you have computation, where you have a lot of code lines, where you want to improve the speed, where speed is a factor, right? Where you want to go faster and faster. If I jump into, I guess, what's really interesting, what are the use cases? So I chose 2 use cases to speak about, one in Europe, one in the US. I chose one of the top 5 European banks, specifically the investment bank division. I can tell you we came in a few years ago into this bank and they were frustrated. They were just incredibly frustrated with what was happening. They had a long list of tasks that they were trying to adhere to, the developers, and the head of the team, he was there trying to make sure that they're making the traders happy and able to go to market quicker. And what ended up is their analytics libraries, their quant analysis and financial models, all in C++. They took over 25 hours to build, and leveraging Incredibuild, we went through a full POC process. We understood in depth their use case. We worked hand in hand with them, as we do with most of our customers in general, be it in the financial services or not. And we were able to reduce their build time by 97% to 40 minutes. So this is one example. The other example is one of the top 5 US hedge funds. Very similar story. We came in, tons of frustration across the board, anywhere from the top to the actual person developing and working. They had 4 hours of build time. We were able to reduce it to 40 minutes. And both of these customers, if you'll speak to them, they'll speak about the ultimate impact, not only in the idle time that the developer was sitting waiting for something to happen while the build is happening, but the transformation of the save to money for the institution itself. So these are just 2 examples of many within our customer base. And then I actually chose these 2 financial services customers. They're more in the fintech space, less in the banking. And I chose them specifically because of that. You can find these 2 case studies on our website. And what you can see, if I start with Orderbase, so Orderbase is a leading ERP software provider. Most of their customer base is actually in the manufacturing space. But they had the same type of frustration, right? They had over 300,000 lines of codes sitting within their developer workstation. Came in, sat with them, understood what was happening, understood their use case better. If you look here, we quoted what Marvin said, before Incredibuild, we would wait or do something else, both which were bad for the flow and incredibly bad for iterations. When you wait, you're limiting the creativity of what can happen. You're limiting what your developers want to do and want to try, and they're sticking basically to what they're being asked for, and you're limiting your ability to shine as a company. And when we came in, we were able to dramatically reduce the build time, leading to the fast iterations, leading to that creativity. I think it's a really interesting use case to read, not specifically from the financial services space, but really relates and speaks to what we're doing. Retalix is a fintech company. Same thing, came in, big frustration, 2-hour builds down to 12 minutes. And what it basically did was kept them from refraining from building, right? Often when this is a situation, you'll find developers trying to do more and more and more before they build. When you're able to reduce the build time so dramatically to a few minutes time, you're giving developers a reason to try more and to move quicker. They're not afraid to build. They're not afraid to do. And it invigorates creativity and movement within the organization, leading to faster go-to-market, to faster time to market, ultimately. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This makes it real, absolutely, and this is what we hear every day. The fact that, like I said earlier, what would you do with time back in your week? And that's what they're doing. They're getting to market faster. They're getting things out the door. A lot of folks know us from the gaming industry. We help large simulations in games. We help Unreal Engine. Some people know us from manufacturing. We help big simulation models in manufacturing, also embedded software, and in the financial services industry. Anything that's a big, complex model, anything that takes a long time to build, regardless of the industry, we can usually help with it. So I've got some questions coming in here. Let's start with one. Integration with, yes. Can Incredibuild be seamlessly integrated with the essential development tools used in financial services? Yes, absolutely. I'll take that one. So we have a lot of integrations that work with how you work today. So Jenkins, TeamCity, we've been inside Visual Studio since, I think, 20 years now. We've been there as a plugin. You name it, we probably integrate with it to help you and your CI process happen. Even if you're not doing CI, some of the observability tools that we integrate with are common and used in the financial industry as well. Let's see here. We've got one coming in, support and reliability. What level of support and reliability? What level of support and reliability can financial institutions expect from Incredibuild compared to alternatives? Smadar, I'll let you take that.
Happy to do that. So first of all, we help institutions like yourselves every day, all day, anywhere from onboarding to helping you deploy to Q&A, to our support solutions. So we are an enterprise. We have, all our systems in place waiting to help you. It's our interest for you to be happy. And yeah, this is our day-to-day.
Yeah, and it actually starts at the beginning too. When we start an interaction with an enterprise in the financial industry in particular, we work with you guys from POC all the way through deployment, and we're with you, holding your hand the whole way. So it's easy to get started. If you want to download bits and just try it and see what you can do, totally fine. We can also right size what you're doing and give you some advice on the fly. We're here for you the whole way. Got another here. In the context of regulatory compliance, how does Incredibuild ensure that data processed and distributed remains secure and compliant? Yeah, that's a huge question. I talked a little bit about this earlier. And the bottom line is, if you're compliant, we help you stay compliant. So we're not a service, we're not a SaaS product. So you're actually using your resources, and the idle time on those cores are being assigned dynamically and on the fly. So what happens is your level of compliance doesn't get altered at all. So if you have to report that you've introduced a new piece of software, totally fine, and we have the documentation and the support teams to help you do that. But other than that, you don't need to change anything. There's nothing different. You're not sending it out. You don't have to figure out where the data centers are. They're yours. They're what you're already using today. So if you're compliant, we help you stay compliant. Let's see what else we have. Considering variable workload cycles in capital markets, how flexible is Incredibuild in scaling resource usage? Oh, I love this question. I'm going to steal this one too. It's automatic. Essentially, the resources that you're dedicating to your builds, like I said, are yours, and they're dynamic. So if somebody is using that workstation or that server for something else, the grid won't use that at the time. It will use the idle resources that it finds available and that you assign. And it scales as big as you want it to. If you did use your cloud instances, for example, you could put parameters in that said, only use instances up until this rate so that we're not overpaying. So the whole system is set up to scale, not just to scale, but to scale so that it's optimized to your parameters so that you're not overusing anything or getting any unexpected charges back or any unexpected usage. It's about predictability and it's about scaling in a responsible way. So I love the way the system works, and that's almost all automatic. You set parameters, and then for each build, it sees who's available, what helpers are available, and uses them as it needs to. I think we're running out of time. I want to be super respectful of everybody's time. Thank you for joining. There's going to be more on the finance industry soon. Check out our blog at incredibuild.com. Incredibuild.com/finance has more information. If you want to get started today, we want to help you. Please reach out. We can get to your bits today, and your teams can get going in usually less than a sprint. So I want to thank everybody. Sahar and Smadar, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thanks now.
Thank you.